Yeah, this is a new harp to me. The harp, my other harp that I've had my entire life, essentially since I was 11, was made in Chicago, actually, Line and Healy, and I've played Line and Healy harps my whole life. But when I was playing with a band more and more and becoming more serious and ended up, taking this path instead of becoming a full-time classical musician, I decided I should probably check out a Kamek harp. These harps are made in France, and this is specifically an electroacoustic harp, so it has a magnetic pickup on every single string, and that's why I got this harp. So there's 7 foot pedals here, and they're changing the pitch of a specific string. So there's one pedal is for every single D string of the harp, which is over here. So it'll change it from flat to natural, sharp. And that's just the D, the D strings, and then the C, so on and so forth. So if I want to play in a specific key, I have to set the pedals to be in that key. But the cool thing is I can set the pedals in certain patterns to get, a chord. So no matter what I'm playing there, it pretty much sounds good. So you have some enharmonic stuff going on. If I just put it in C, every foot pedal in the middle, then it's in, which still sounds good, but it's not going to sound like pentatonic or something like that. So I don't go too crazy with my pedals, just because the harp is already a really interesting sound to have in a band. So I generally am just using different delay pedals, and I've got my chromatic tuning pedal, which is essential. And then it goes into an MXR EQ pedal, which is also essential for the harp, because in different rooms, there's different frequencies that are going to be going crazy. So I'll adjust that as I need to. I've got my Univibe pedal. I love that pedal. I use it a lot. I have 3 different delay pedals. This MXR carbon copy was one of my first pedals ever, I think, and it's the same one. I've had this pedal for, I don't know, over 10 years, probably. It's pretty subtle, but just adds. And then if I want to get crazy, I'll use the harmonist, which will adjust the pitch and bend the pitch of the harp, which you can't really do on your own. Everything is pretty fixed. So if I want to... That's fun to sneak in there. Over at the end of my pedal board, I have 2 Midnight 30 pedals, which I believe are made in Rochester, New York, where I'm from. This Serenity Reverb, it's a reverb pedal, but I use it really as a boost. It just gives the harp a really nice sound. Without it, it is much quieter. When I turn on it just gives it some nice clarity there. So you can kick on some extra reverb, which I don't generally use that much. And then this other Midnight 30 pedal, Starry Night, I love this one. I probably go a little too crazy on it sometimes, but it's another delay pedal. And then it has this madness button that you can click, and it just shifts the pitch in any which way. I love to use it when I'm playing a glissando. Without it, it's just delay. And then if I press the madness pedal, so it's just a really cool effect. sometimes I'll do that combined with the harmonist pedal. So yeah, you can just get some little treats here and there. I got this jazz chorus a long time ago, and I used to use it a lot more, and I stopped using it. I used custom bass amps for a little bit. That was fun. But then I switched back to this one to get a little more clarity. But I found that solid state amps work really well with the harp. Generally, when I'm playing a show, I'm just going through this Telefunken DI straight to the soundboard. So I don't mic the jazz chorus because I have my harp split into a high channel and the low channel because it gets so muddy down here that it's nice to split it up and have control over the highs and lows.
This has really become kind of my most special guitar. I got it probably in the last 3 years, and I actually got it in New York City. I live upstate now, but I lived in Brooklyn for a long time, and I got this at a great store called T.R. Crandall, and it's actually a 2017. Yeah, it's some kind of anniversary, but it's just a custom shop Strat, and it's a 69 reissue. So I had been looking for a big headstock Strat for a while. I got this like kind of right when I started playing with Circles, which was 2021. I got this like in the fall of 2021. And since then I've used it on literally every Circles show, and I'm happy to say that most of the beating it's taken has been from me. Yeah, my sort of like idea for like my voice in this band has kind of become like equal parts David Gilmour, Nile Rodgers, and The Edge. Like put those three in a blender. That's kind of what I go for. And they basically all played a guitar that more or less looked like this. There's a lot on here, but starting at the front until the very end, it's got a wah-wah, goes into a couple Mutron things. I got the Quacker, which is something I don't use super often. But that one sounds really good. I've gone through a bunch, and that one's definitely my favorite. This is by Mutron, but it's the 3. They make a 4 now, and I actually had a real Mutron for a while that was lent to me by a friend, and another friend came over, and between the two of us, we had like every envelope filter out there, and we like shot them out, and the real Mutron sounded the best, but this one was a very close second. So I got that. I got a compressor there. Speaking of Natalie and little gadgets like the ones on Mark's cymbals, this is also from Natalie, which is kind of aggro, but I kind of like having it there because, you know, pretty much every show you get one or two guys that come up and peep at the pedals, and it's always kind of fun to see their reaction when they finally notice that. Right. But yeah, then it goes into some drives, got a clean boost, an overdrive, a little bit of a dirtier overdrive there. And then this is one of my absolute favorites, the Dimension C. It's a chorus type pedal, and I've had this one for a while. It's one of the old ones, and it sounds really good. It's kind of gotten into like almost use it too much territory, but I just like, you know, the sort of like subtle chorus that it gives. It kind of makes everything sound more in tune, and gives it kind of a Prince vibe. But I use it a lot on our newer songs and stuff where it's a little bit like funkier and kind of, you know, this is really nice and mellow. And I like the older one because it's a little like less sophisticated. It's crunchier and kind of weirder. And yeah, I really like that pedal. Then I have a vibe. I have a phaser. This is a really nice phaser that actually belonged to our friend Neil Casal, and it's made by Chase Bliss. And it does a lot of stuff, but I honestly just use it in as close of an approximation to a good old like MXR Phase 90 as I can get it, but it's cool. It's pretty mellow. It doesn't kind of take over like some of them do, but that's good. Then it gets into some delays. I'm kind of a big delay guy, and I have two. I have a short one, which is this old Ibanez analog delay, And I got turned on to this by my friend Jason Roberts. This is like the very first one. I think it's the 8080. And I had this for a while and couldn't figure out why it sounded so good until I realized that it runs on 18 volts. So it actually has two 9-volt batteries in it, or you just plug it into an 18-volt, but it has really strong repeats. So I tend to use it, like I'll use it sometimes. I also play it with my feet a lot, so I'll turn the repeats down and just do like some slappy stuff, or like kind of a cool doubling. But also if you let it like oscillate, it goes a long time without freaking out. Stuff like that. It gets really loud, but it's really fun. It's a great sounding delay. So that's a short guy, and there's a long one. This is a DoD rubberneck. I like this delay, but yeah, it works really well. I like, having something analog, but I do a lot of timed stuff, so I kind of need to have a tap, which I recently realized that you can't do it with a TRS. It's weird. The TRS does other things on this, but you can just use a regular old guitar cable and connect it to this thing. And then you get the tap tempo, and I don't have to reach all the way up here to do it, but a lot of our tunes have stuff like stuff like that. And yeah, I've gotten really into the time stuff. A lot of the times with Adam having so many sounds, I really just sort of sink into the rhythm section. So having a tap delay like that is fun because it lets me, do the obvious dotted 8 stuff. But it's kind of fun to really get weird and just do more just kind of create more of a rhythmic thing and have it be super robotic because of the delay. Yeah, so this Coronado, it's kind of a new guitar for me. I just recently got it on Reverb. And I got it because on our new record, we did a version of a song by Sergio Mendes called After Sunrise, which the Sergio version is kind of just acousticy and more of a world vibe, but there's a really cool cover of it from the late 70s by this Trinidadian artist, and it has acoustic 12-string on it. So on our version, I played a Guild Starfire 12, which is Dan's, but when we were getting ready to go out and do this tour, I realized that I didn't have an electric 12-string, so I started looking around for one that was cool and that I could afford, and I really wanted one of these Starfires, but they're pretty expensive, but I ended up finding this one on Reverb for a pretty good price. It's kind of beat, it doesn't have a pick guard, this part was broken at one point, but it's all there, and it sounds really cool. And I usually use it with this compressor.
The reason it's also spread out like this, and the reason that we drag all this stuff around, is just to have enough palettes. You can get a lot of sounds on less keyboards, but it's like having each color. So you can just pick one. Sometimes I'll just go Prophet, and then just do it, and pick a sound and mess with it. And yeah, so there's not really that much thought out. The songs have structure where there's certain melodies that are always played on this, there's certain chords that are always done on this, but it can change up in the more free bits. The Model D Moog, probably a 71. It's metal face, if that means anything to any Moog collectors. This bit is metal. These wheels are clear, which is a thing. So this is really all, it's the pièce de la résistance. It's the best thing in the rig. This is for the Moog. It's just a little analog delay, so it's not so dry and unforgiving. And then the Rhodes, which is a stereo, like a suitcase, but without the speaker, so you can have, you can have it be. go left to right and all that. This is probably a 74, 75. But I modded it so that the preamp section it's one that usually has a speaker. So, but we have the legs on it, and it has a preamp section like the speaker one for the stereo, but no speaker. Yeah, Memory Man, clavinet, that's always a thing, and wah and some phase, but usually that's. Worked for you too. That's fun. This is a new addition the last couple years. That's a new one, the reissue one. But they sound great and they take a beating. It's a Krumar orchestrator, and it does strings, it does pretty terrible versions of a piano, pretty terrible versions of what would be a harpsichord. I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. We pretty much use it for strings. So sci-fi, your sci-fi 70s strings. Yeah. And that's covers it for keys. This thing is just like, you know, we sampled 2600 bits, and that's sort of what these. We made a little fake toms for fun. Can't really have a disco thing without.
This is a vintage Rogers kit, early 70s or late 60s, and there also is a 12-inch tom that is not here with me, but I have this set up 13, 14, 16, and you can see this 14 is actually hanging to give me the 1 up and 2 down configuration that I like. This snare drum is really special to me. It's Joyful Noise Drum Company based out of Castle Rock, Colorado. And it's he makes steam bent drums and also rolled metal drums. So this is a solid piece of old growth submerged maple that was reclaimed out of Lake Michigan. And he adds reinforcement rings, but all these are solid shells. So pretty cool. This is on all of the Cats recordings, and I played it on every live show as well. It goes everywhere with me. It's kind of my trusty steed. I also use one of these big fat snare drum things for certain songs when I want it to sound fatter, lower. And then for like the funkier, kind of tighter stuff, I'll take it off, get more response out of the drum. So this is without, I'll do first. Pretty snappy, a lot of, that's what I was talking about with the snare response. Super low and quiet, you still. And then with this thing on there, it's just a lot lower and fatter. Also, you know, coated heads on the top and the bottom is contributing to a warm sound of the kit. And of course it's vintage, so that's why I'm after that as well. This kit, I mean, they're really just cool drums. I love the finish, like the depth of this sparkle finish is really cool. And also, they're bomber. They just keep up on the road. And it's important because there's no time for trouble, you know? It just needs to work and sound good and keep tuning relatively stable. I really enjoy this kit. So yeah, my cymbal pack is a hodgepodge. This is a Bosphorus. These are Zildjian, and these hi-hats are Sabian. None of them are actually vintage. I've just played a lot of shows with these, and over time it's like a fine wine. They just get better and better, and add these little hands on because you don't really need wing nuts, and it's fun. So I don't think it makes the cymbal sound better, but that's actually comes from Adam's girlfriend. I don't know where she started picking them up, but yeah, I've been rocking the hands for a while now. And this actually was given to me by Neil Casal. It was kind of a little like, hey man, I just picked this up for you, thought of you, and yeah, I like having it there. Bit of a totem.
Alembic is a very cool company. I've had them work on it. They refretted it. They fixed one of the pickups, but it's all stock. And it's a 78, an older one. Got nice checking on there. That's one of the things I really like. It doesn't have like a thick finish. It's real. I think it's a walnut top. This is like pretty full range, and then the bridge pickup doesn't always work. No, there it is. You get like a jazz bass. And then, yes, I mostly use the neck pickup because it's got like pretty full sound. That was their whole thing, is like full spectrum. It goes to a power supply, which, and then the power supply has an output for both pickups, which is pretty cool. At our Brooklyn Bowl show, it ran out of batteries during the show, and it makes an insane sound. And it's kind of funny, but it was also like, what the hell is going on? It's like starts squealing, and like the filters act all weird. It's a cue for the filter. So it just increases the cue, so you can get that like nasally filtered sound. But then you put it like that, and then it acts more like a regular tone knob. Yeah, with a more broad cue. Most of it is really basic stuff. I got the fuzz. The Big Muff's cool for bass because it leaves the low end in, where that's why a lot of bass players use Big Muff, I think, because you can still rock the subs and have the fuzz going. But then when I really want to rock the subs, this is like my favorite pedal because I just have the 50 hertz on. And unless you're listening in your car with your subwoofers, you probably can't tell. Anyway, a lot of people get mad at me when I turn that on. And then the other stuff I just kind of is for like tripping out. Stuff. Oh, and then of course this one's fun. It's a space drum, electro harmonics. I used to have the old one, but you have to hit it with a drumstick. And this one's cool because you have a button, which I use my foot a lot, but it's just for doing that, and it's become like my signature sound. When I don't know what to do, I just start messing with that thing.